Welcome to the Discussing YouTube podcast. Each episode, we dive in on one of YouTube's creator features, dissect it, and let you know all that you need to know, and hopefully help you learn these features intimately and help you grow your channel. Let's join George and today's guest for more.
Okay, so you're here because you want to know what is actually going on with these YouTube mid-roll ads, right?
Yeah.
We've all seen the headlines. We've all scrolled through the comments, and we're just looking for a little bit of clarity.
Right.
So today, that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to take a deep dive into the recent updates and clarifications from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at their community post and that Creator Insider video.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
And our mission here is really simple. We just want to make sense of these changes and what they actually mean for you.
It's a very important topic.
Absolutely.
And it's understandable why there's been so much, kind of chatter, I guess. Any time there are changes to like how creators monetize their hard work, it's going to raise questions.
Absolutely.
And the initial reaction was certainly there was a degree of uncertainty, I think.
For sure.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to unpack what YouTube has said and like look at the reasons behind these changes.
Right.
And try to figure out, what you need to know.
Exactly. So let's get right to the point.
Yeah.
Why is YouTube doing this now? Why the big mid-roll shakeup? Like, what is their thinking?
Well, from what I can tell from what they laid out in that Creator Insider video, a few things are driving this.
Okay.
So one thing is they're seeing a pretty clear trend toward longer videos.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And as videos get longer, mid-rolls kind of become more and more important to the whole picture.
To the monetization.
To the revenue, to the monetization.
Makes sense.
And another thing they pointed to was the growth of YouTube on TV screens.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Where ad expectations can be very different from mobile viewing.
Okay.
So, those are kind of two concrete things. But the bigger picture, like the thing they kept coming back to over and over again is this idea of optimization.
Right.
They want to optimize the revenue for creators.
Right.
While also making sure viewers have a good experience.
Yeah.
And making sure advertisers are happy. So it's all about, kind of balancing all these different competing priorities.
Always.
Yeah.
So YouTube is always juggling, viewer experience, creator experience, and advertising.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they did actually say that their success is completely linked to ours as creators.
Oh yeah, they were very. The YouTube rep in the Creator Insider video was very emphatic about that. Mm-hmm. Just very clear about the fact that the YouTube Partner Program is based on this idea that, YouTube thrives when its creators thrive.
Exactly.
And this whole initiative, as they present it, is meant to kind of reinforce that commitment.
Totally. But, okay, YouTube has their angle.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. When this news first dropped, the vibe in the creator community was
not great.
Not great. Yeah, not super optimistic, let's just say.
Yeah.
And even in the Creator Insider video, they even said that people were saying, what the heck?
Yeah, what the hell is going on?
What the heck is going on? What do you think was behind that initial wave of concern?
I think a lot of it came down to just fear of the unknown, right? Like creators depend on ad revenue to do what they do. And anytime there's a change that feels like it's threatening that income, it's natural for people to get anxious.
Yeah.
And that tweet that we saw also kind of tapped into that sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
There were some worries there about potential earnings reduction, especially for people who make certain kinds of content. And it really all boils down to this worry that these changes could end up hurting the very people that make YouTube what it is.
Right. And even though that might sound a little bit dramatic, it really highlights the level of concern.
Yeah, it really does.
For sure. Now, one of the things that people were really confused about was manual mid-rolls.
Yeah, that was a big one.
A lot of creators felt like YouTube was all of a sudden going to be like, you can't place your ads here.
You can't do this. Yeah.
You're taking control.
What's the reality? So this is super important to clarify. What YouTube has said, and they've said it repeatedly, is that your ability as a creator to place those manual mid-roll ad markers wherever you want in your videos is not going away. You still have that control.
Okay.
The change is in how YouTube's ad system chooses which of those potential slots it's actually going to fill with an ad.
So to be clear, when we as creators drop those little yellow markers on the timeline, we weren't guaranteeing an ad was going to show there.
Right. You've always been indicating potential ad locations.
Okay.
The ad system then takes a bunch of factors into account.
Okay.
Things like viewer behavior, the flow of the content advertiser demand.
Interesting.
To figure out whether an ad should actually play at that point.
Okay.
What's different now is that there's this new layer of transparency.
Okay.
YouTube is now giving you feedback.
Yeah.
They're showing you which of those manual ad slots are unlikely to actually have an ad served.
So I've seen some little red lines.
Yeah, you got it.
Popping up in my YouTube studio.
That's exactly it.
So is that YouTube saying no ad here?
It's not quite a no. It's more like, hey, this is probably not the best spot.
Hey, heads up.
Yeah, it's like a data-driven heads up.
Interesting. Okay.
You said heads up.
Yeah.
And it's meant to help you optimize your strategy.
Okay.
By highlighting those low-serving potential slots, you can rethink things a bit.
Okay.
You can maybe shift those markers to places where ads are more likely to run.
Gotcha.
And that should translate to better revenue in the long run.
Okay. So it's about giving us more information so we can make smarter decisions, not about restricting where we can put our markers.
That's exactly right.
Cool. Now, the Creator Insider video, they also talked about this idea of retention editing.
Mm-hmm.
This is where creators kind of intentionally minimize the pauses to keep viewers engaged and glued to the screen.
Mm-hmm.
How does this new ad system work with that approach?
So the ad system isn't actually against that kind of tight editing that prioritizes keeping viewers watching.
Gotcha.
But the challenge is, when videos are edited so smoothly that there just aren't very many natural pauses, places where the system can put an ad without feeling like it's interrupting.
Okay.
And in those cases, even if you've placed manual mid-rolls, the system might decide those aren't the best spots.
So is what you're saying, like if I just put an ad marker like every minute, regardless of what's happening in the video,
right,
that's not necessarily going to fly anymore.
Yeah, it might not align with what the ad system thinks is a good ad break.
Okay.
Because if an ad just shows up randomly based on a timer, it could interrupt something important and then people might click away, and nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
No.
So this new feedback system, is that going to help creators who are doing that tight retention editing?
It could help them figure out better places for their ads, even within that fast-paced content.
Okay.
So by seeing which slots are unlikely to serve, it might prompt them to find those more natural transition points for ads.
Gotcha.
Think about it, like when you're watching something yourself, you're probably less annoyed if an ad pops up after a thought is finished or during a little pause than if it just cuts you off mid-sentence.
Right in the middle of something,
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about manual placements. Now, a lot of creators are a little hesitant to just trust YouTube's automatic ad placement.
Yeah, understandable.
Because we kind of feel like we know our audience the best.
Yeah, I get that.
We know our content.
Yeah, you're the expert on your own stuff.
We're the experts. So what's the deal with automatic ads now?
So that skepticism totally makes sense. You do know your content better than anyone.
Yeah.
And YouTube gets that.
Okay.
So what they're doing now is they're offering more flexibility.
Okay.
They're giving you the option to actually combine automatic and manual ad placements.
So I can kind of do both.
Yeah, the idea is to use your knowledge along with the system's data.
Okay.
So it's like you bring your understanding of your content, and YouTube brings its knowledge of viewer behavior and ad performance.
So they're like working together.
Yeah, like a team.
Interesting.
And to show that this can actually work, they shared some results from an experiment they did back in July of 2024.
Interesting.
And what they found was that channels that use this combined approach actually made about 5% more on average than those that only used manual placements.
So it actually works.
Yeah, so it seems like the system, when you use it strategically with your own input, can actually find good opportunities for ads that you might not have thought of.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that always worries me with automatic ads is like those ads popping up at the worst possible moments.
Yeah, like during a brand deal or something like that.
Yeah, right in the middle of like a really important part of the video.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
How is YouTube like dealing with that?
So YouTube knows that this is a concern, and they've been very clear that you still have control.
Okay.
Even if you turn on automatic mid-rolls, you can still review all the places that the system suggests.
Okay.
And you can delete any that you don't like. So it's not like you're just handing over the reins completely.
So I can kind of have my cake and eat it too.
Pretty much.
Okay, that's good. So the Creator Insider video also gave some advice on where not to put ads.
Yeah, they had some specific tips.
I mean, where are they?
So they said don't put ads right in the middle of sentences.
Okay.
That's a pretty obvious one.
Makes sense.
And don't put them during like really high action sequences.
Okay.
The main idea, and this is something they're going to focus on even more with the May model update, is that ads should be placed at natural breaks.
Okay.
So pauses, transitions between topics, moments where the video kind of naturally slows down. It's like commercials on TV, right? They usually come in between scenes or during those natural lulls. YouTube's trying to create a similar kind of experience.
Yeah, a little bit less jarring, a little bit less intrusive.
Exactly.
Right.
And they also acknowledge that some creators purposely use fewer mid-rolls.
Right.
Because they want to prioritize the viewer experience.
Yeah.
And they said, that's totally fine,
Okay.
you know? And the new transparency features can actually help those creators understand, you know, what the trade-off is.
Gotcha.
Like how much revenue they might be giving up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get into like the nuts and bolts.
Okay.
What does this mean for videos that we've already uploaded and for new videos?
Yeah, good question.
So for new uploads, what's the workflow going to be like?
So for new videos, it sounds like the automatic system will suggest some initial mid-roll placements.
Okay.
And then you can review those, add your own manual placements, and then you can actually see feedback from the system on whether those slots are likely to have ads served.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like a back and forth process to help you optimize things before the video even goes live.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, what about all the videos we've already published? This has been a huge source of anxiety for people.
I know, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And this is where that May 12, 2025 date comes in.
Okay.
Starting on that day, YouTube is going to start automatically adding mid-roll ad slots to older videos.
Okay, so videos that we uploaded before February 24, 2025.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this applies to videos that already have manually placed mid-rolls.
Okay.
But, and this is super important, they've clearly said that your existing manual mid-rolls in those older videos won't be removed.
Okay, so all that time that we spent meticulously going through our old videos and putting in ad breaks, that's not going to be undone.
No, you're safe there. Okay, that's a huge relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that was brought up is, what about those older videos that maybe YouTube system can't find any new good ad slots to add?
Yeah.
So, like, are those older videos just going to, like, lose out on potential revenue?
That's a good point, and it's something to think about. So your existing ads will stay.
Okay.
But if after May 12, the system decides those placements are disruptive and it can't find any good new spots to add, then it is possible that those videos might not see much of a revenue boost.
Gotcha.
They could even potentially see a little dip if viewers are annoyed by poorly placed ads.
Okay.
And that's why YouTube is really emphasizing the opt-out option,
you
know, in YouTube Studio.
Okay.
Creators have until May 12, 2025 to tell YouTube they don't want these automatic mid-rolls added to their old videos.
Okay.
So you've got time to review your existing placements and make a decision.
So really, creators need to go look at their older videos, pay attention to the feedback they're getting.
And decide if they want YouTube to add automatic mid-rolls or if they want to keep managing it themselves.
That's the key takeaway.
Okay.
And YouTube is also giving a little bit of a warning.
Okay.
They're saying that for videos with manual mid-rolls in places that the system thinks are interruptive, there might actually be a decrease in revenue.
Oh, wow. Okay.
After May 12.
Okay.
As they get stricter about mid-roll quality.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So May 12 is a big date.
It is a big day.
We keep hearing about this May 12 date. So besides these automatic ads being added to older videos, what else happens on that day? Is that when the big model update kicks in?
Yes. So the feedback tool
Okay.
and the option to combine automatic and manual ads, those are actually rolling out sooner.
Okay.
YouTube said this week in their announcements.
Okay.
But May 12th, that's the day when these higher standards for mid-roll quality and the automatic additions to older videos, those things will be fully in effect. And the model update is basically just a fancy way of saying that YouTube's algorithms are getting better at figuring out natural breaks and avoiding those annoying interruptions.
So it's not like on May 12, everything just changes overnight.
Right.
It's more of like a gradual rollout.
Yeah.
And like a continuous improvement kind of thing.
It's a process for sure.
Okay. Now, we saw that tweet.
Yeah.
And it really highlighted some concerns from gaming creators.
Yeah. And other people who make that kind of really fast-paced, tightly edited content,
right.
the kind of stuff where there aren't a lot of natural pauses.
Right.
And YouTube has actually talked about this specific challenge in their community post, in their Creator Insider video. They get that for those creators whose content is meant to be super engaging with very little downtime.
Yeah.
The system might have a hard time figuring out good places for ads.
Yeah, basically.
And that means, as Tweet pointed out, those creators might see less money from mid-rolls. Yeah. If the system can't find those non-disruptive slots in their videos.
Okay, and what did YouTube say about that?
Well, their initial suggestion, and this was directed at creators for whom mid-roll revenue is really important, was to maybe think about changing how they make their content.
Okay.
To add in more natural pauses.
Wow, that's a pretty big ask.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask.
But they're open to feedback.
Yeah, so it was presented as a suggestion.
Right.
But it's really important to note that YouTube also said they're taking this feedback really seriously.
Okay.
They're going to be looking at how these changes affect different types of content.
Okay.
Gaming specifically.
Okay.
And they said they're open to adjusting their models based on what they learn.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So while that initial suggestion might have felt a little bit like they were telling people what to do.
Right.
They are showing that they're willing to listen.
Okay, good.
And adapt.
So it's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
No, definitely not.
And it sounds like they're willing to make changes based on how this plays out in the real world.
They're definitely paying attention.
Okay, so at the end of the day, what is YouTube's main message to us as creators with all of this?
I think the big takeaway is that while the ad system is changing and they're adding new tools and giving us more data, you as the creator are still in control of whether you show mid-roll ads and where you initially want them to go.
Okay.
The new features, the feedback, and the option to combine automatic and manual placement, those are there to give you more information and more flexibility, not to tell you how to make your content or how to manage your monetization.
So they're not trying to take control.
No, they're trying to empower you.
Yeah. It's like they said with the retention graph example. More data can help us make better decisions, even when it comes to ad placement.
Exactly. The goal is to give you better insights into how the system works so that you can make choices that balance your need to make money with the need to keep your audience happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap things up. What are the big things that people should remember from this deep dive into the mid-roll updates?
Okay, so the main points to remember are YouTube is really focused on making the viewer experience better with mid-roll ads.
Right.
And they're doing that by trying to put ads at natural breaks.
Okay.
And by minimizing interruptions.
Yeah.
And to help creators do this, they're giving us new tools like feedback on ad slot quality.
Okay.
And the ability to use both automatic and manual placements.
Right.
For those older videos that already have manual mid-rolls, YouTube's going to start adding automatic slots on May 12, 2025.
Right.
But you can opt out of that if you want.
Yeah.
And while the initial announcement definitely caused a lot of confusion
for sure
and some concern, YouTube is actually listening to creator feedback, and it seems like they're willing to adapt and adjust as things move forward.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's a big change happening, but it's not necessarily time to panic.
I don't think so.
It's more about understanding the changes, learning to use the new tools, and adjusting our strategies as we go.
Exactly. It's about using the information that YouTube's giving you to make good decisions about your ad placement.
Yeah.
And to potentially make more money while still keeping your viewers happy.
Yeah. Definitely something to think about. So as you're listening to this, consider your own content.
Yeah.
Consider your own strategy for ad placement. How might you need to evolve? Is this a chance for you to just fine-tune your monetization? Or is this a bigger shift in how creators are going to make money on the platform? We really encourage you to go into YouTube Studio, explore these new features.
Yeah, play around with them.
Play around with them and think about the long-term implications. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Glad to be here.
Until next time.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Check out the show notes for more details, including the links to the YouTube help articles and anything else discussed on the episode. This has been a DHYT production.